Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Between Two Preachers. I'm your host, Colby,
And I'm Carson.
and we got a few interesting topics lined up for you, but let's go ahead and jump on in. What you say, Carson?
Oh yeah, I guess everybody's celebrating the 4th of July. And I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. I know I did.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, we went to a popular church here in town, Callaway Baptist, and it was, I'm telling you, there's probably 10,000 people there. It was packed out. Me and Amanda had we probably watched 5 minutes worth of the fireworks, and we had to get on the other side. I knew the traffic was going to be rough getting out of there.
Was it still rough whenever you decided to leave?
It was it was starting to get rough. I'm telling you, we had just got on the road when they did their little grand finale, and the cars started filing out of there. Then we caught just a tiny hair of traffic, but
You made
it
it
could
right
have
in the
been
nick of
worse.
time, huh?
I'm glad we left when we did.
I uh, I actually spent the 4th of July out there on the water this go round.
Yeah.
We met the preacher out there, and we drove the boat a little bit, and we did some fishing, let the kids swim, and I did some swimming. That leads into I got a pretty funny story. um, we had pulled the boats up and anchored out, and we were swimming, and I've got a little girl about 3 years old for everybody listening, and she still has to wear a life jacket, and we make her wear one even whenever she's around water like that. But anyways, she swam up to me and she said, "Daddy, throw me." And I said, "Well, okay." And I picked her up and kind of set her in my hand, like somebody would throw like a shot put. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hold your breath." And I seen her take a deep breath, and I reared back like had a bowling ball in that hand, and I was trying to throw it. And boy, whenever I did, I seen her go up there, and her feet started to go above her head. And and I could see. You ever see that? Just like pure panic, kind of fear, kind of hit somebody's face, like her eyes looked like they were saucer.
Uh-huh.
And she, of course, whenever she hit the water, she came up. She's just screaming, trying to cough it up. And there had been some people that pulled up and parked next to us, and whenever she came up, I heard "oh" from all of them. Embarrassed me. I was like, "All right, baby. All right, cough it up. Cough it up."
Don't make a show out here in front of everybody. You're making me look like a bad dad. That kind of reminds me of was that all of it?
Yeah, that's all of that story. But
Well, it
you
kind
go
of
ahead.
reminds me. We used to go riding tubes, and my uncle he had this old jet ski, and he didn't. If it was me and some other like adult guys on there, he would blister that thing coming through there. And back then I was good at riding them things. It was hard to throw me off, but he was probably running probably 45 mile an hour, and he kept make a hard or not really a hard turn, but you know what I'm talking about. You'd make a turn and you'd
Yeah,
go,
you try to whip you around on it.
yeah, you'd go skimming that across that water. I mean, just like skimming the top of it, just would you would pick up some serious G's going through there. And I mean, he threw me off one time so hard. I'm telling you, it felt like I landed on a pile of bricks. My eye was hurting. I swear to you, I was afraid to touch my eye because I thought I was gonna feel there wasn't gonna be no eyeball there no more.
Worse, ain't it? Whenever you get hurt or do something and you're almost scared to check it out, make sure you're okay.
Uh-huh.
I
And then
remember. Oh, go
you,
ahead.
you go. You got it. You got it.
Well, I remember I did something in my shoe, and I was wearing tennis shoes doing something stupid, and they probably running around jumping and all that. And I remember I landed weird or caught my toe some which way on something, and I didn't want to take my shoe off because I was afraid that whenever I did, that toe was going to be hooked off to the side. You talk about hurt, it's whenever you stub your toe, you just stand on it and just grunt because all you can do is put your other foot on it and just really stand on it.
Yeah, I've done that before. I'm afraid to look down and see my toenail peeled back. Yeah, you were well back still on the another jet ski story. This one probably get a kick out of you. You probably don't never even heard it, but there's another time we were riding on or riding on tube. Dan was driving the jet ski once again, and I'd ended up slipping to the back of the tube, and I was hanging on for dear life, and like I was hanging on to the back handle of it, and only thing on the tube was my arms and just right there in my chest. The rest of me was like sliding against the water, and Bobby was driving the jet ski next to us, I guess to pick us up if we fell off. And I, you know, I was skimming against the water and so were my shorts. And I felt them start to inch slowly down more and more and more. Well, along there sitting around my ankles, and I'm bare earing everything just getting slid across the water. And Bobby this whole time just sitting there looking at me, just dying laughing about it. And I'm trying to hang on to that tube, and I'm trying to, you have to flare your feet out and try to hold on to your shorts, keep them from going off in the water somewhere where you ain't never gonna be able to find them. And he had just seen everything. I'm telling you, he saw front, back, center. He saw it all. I finally had to just bite the bullet and let go because I was afraid I was gonna lose my shorts out there, and that sure enough would have been a problem. You can probably imagine that one hurt pretty good.
Well, on top of everything hurting, it hurt your pride too, I bet.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They got to see it all that day, the whole lake, I'm sure. Yeah, Parker told me he still talks about that story to this day. He never brought it up to me because I'm sure he thinks I'm humiliated by it. But here I am sharing it on a stinking podcast.
But after a little while, they were gonna have a fireworks show out there on the lake, and I had a little old aluminum boat. I looked like probably like a pirate, one of them pirates you see take over a cruise ship out there compared to all them other boats. And we watched the show and all that, and we ended up leaving just a hair before, kind of like you did. And there was about 30 or 40 other boats with us, and here me and Michael are. He's in this nice bass boat, and I'm in that little bitty aluminum boat, and we're up there at the front of the pack, and he had his GPS on, so I said, okay, well, I'll fall in behind him, and all of a sudden, I'm pretty familiar with that edge of the lake, and we passed the boat ramp, and I said, well, I know that ain't right. I tried to play it off at first whenever I thought we were heading wrong. I was like, well, he's got his GPS, it's right. And then finally, I just had to gun it and get on right up there beside him. And I said, hey, man, we got to turn around because I know that we were supposed to take a left coming out of that cove. And, boy, you talk about, I had pontoons and everything coming over me and beside me, and it was a rock in the boat. And, ooh, you talk about scary. And then finally, he fell in behind me and said, well, I'll let you lead the way then. And whenever we pulled a big old U-turn out there, and then we got 40 other boats coming at us. And, ooh, you talk about scary, though.
Uh-huh.
If it hadn't have been for a pontoon boat, he cut his lights on it, I don't think I'd ever made it back in. Because it was half moon. It wasn't real bright out there or anything, and then we had to. I couldn't see anything. I had a hard time putting the trailer in the water just because I couldn't see out of the Chevrolet. And finally I got in the water and I put the boat on there, and me and Kenzie were slinging stuff to get it out and set. And whenever we did, boy, we took off.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine if 100 people had to wait in line to get in the get their boats up on the ramp. Because some
Yeah,
people just don't know how to back a trailer. It'll
no,
take them
yeah,
freaking forever to get them back in there.
yeah. It we actually played it a little bit smarter. We put in one of the smaller boat ramps that I figured would be a lot less used,
Yeah.
and it paid off because whenever we got to the ramp itself, there was about 4 boats ahead of us, and about the time I was docking the boat to go get the trailer, there was about 4 more boats coming in. So it was about an average day for West Point.
Uh huh.
And but we rode by there's a real big ramp. And that place looked like a madhouse.
Oh yeah, I bet. I bet. Yeah. Like I said, I couldn't imagine having to wait on 100 people. You'd be out there all darn night.
Yeah, it was about 12:15, 12:30 whenever I finally made it in, and then it was another hour after that whenever I finally got settled in for the night. You talk about collapsed. As soon as my head hit the pillow, I was out.
Oh, I bet. Being out on the water will just wear you out too.
Yeah, it did. We were all tired, and we had a real good time though. I think everybody had a good time on that trip.
Uh huh.
I was glad. It was so bad whenever I got out there and we went to blast off, and we had the 40 boats behind us and stuff. I was sitting there praying. I was, dear Lord, please let me make it in safe. Dear Lord, just please keep it. There was state patrolmen out there on the water everywhere. There was 2 or 3 of them riding around cruising. I think that really helped settle it down, not let anybody get acting wild out there.
Yeah, I would have been worried as heck about that too, because just folks get drinking out there, and some people just don't know what they're doing driving a boat, and
Yeah,
yeah, I probably would have been the same way. I probably been scared out to death. I probably been a whole lot more scared out there than just on dry land.
yeah. It it was fun. I don't know if I'd make a habit out of it, like every time they have an event,
Yeah.
take the boat out there. But I'd do it again, just
Uh huh.
as a fun family thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I heard you on that.
But let's roll on into something else. What you want to talk about? You want to talk about
You
let's talk about being kind of spiteful.
all right. All right. Well, I'll let you lead off on that one.
I wouldn't call it necessarily spiteful, but I used to get at my father-in-law a little bit. It'd tickle me. He loved Debbie cake. It'd be cosmic brownies or anything like that. Just as long as it was a little Debbie, he'd love them, and he always kept a supply of them in the pantry whenever me and Kenzie lived with my mother and father-in-law. And it would get down real low, like to where there was like 2 Debbie cakes left in the box, and that was the
Yeah.
only 2 he had left. And I know that he'd be getting off of work, so I'd run in there and I'd make sure to eat one of them and then hide the other one. And he'd come in, You'd hear him take his shoes off and everything. He'd be getting settled in there in the living room, and he'd go over there to the cabinet, get him a Debbie cake. And the thing is, what I would do is I would hide the other one, and I'd leave that box in there, and I'd make sure it was empty. And you'd he'd come in there, you'd hear that cabinet open, and then he'd grab that box, and he'd, doggone it, and then he'd just go to hooping and hollering. And I'd be in there just laughing. But Bill, if you ever hear that, I didn't mean nothing by it. I was just picking at you. He's always a good sport.
Yeah, I used to go in there, take his Debbie cakes, and just spit on one of them, put it back in there for him to eat. I hope you hear that one, Bill.
Oh, you did that?
You did that too?
But I got another story of my brother. Me and him had been arguing this whenever we were little boys, and we didn't being out here in rural Alabama. We didn't get Chick-fil-A very much, and so I think Dad and him had gone into Carrollton one night, and they picked up Chick-fil-A for everybody and brought it back, and I had two sandwiches. I ate one and I saved the other one for lunch the next day. And well, me and Carter got into it arguing about something. I mean, bad, just like little kids do. But he, I went in there for lunch the next day, and I was going to get that Chick-fil-A sandwich. And I opened it up. I can nearly about taste it, And,
Yeah.
I opened it up and pulled that chicken sandwich out of a little tinfoil wrapper they come in, and there was a perfect bite taken out of it. Just, I mean, you could even count like teeth marks on it. It was. Oh, you talk about livid! I was about ready to strangle him. But now looking back at it, you can't help but to laugh.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Mama used to, well, this ain't really a spiteful story, but I have one kind of spiteful. It wasn't me, but just on different tangent. Mama, like if you order a pizza, and just for you, like me and Parker would come through and have some pizzas for ourselves, and we had, gotten that earlier that night. We used to go over at 11 o'clock at night, just go harassing them man. And he'd come in there and just don't even think about it, just pull our box open, take a bite of the pizza, and put it back in there. And then a little while later, he'd come find another slice of pizza, take a bite out of it, and leave it in there for us. but I was gonna talk about a spiteful story. There were some boys I used to go to church with. We used to be in a youth group with them. They were twins, and one of them, he's actually a pastor in Arizona right now, a pretty successful church, I think, like a pretty big church. And
Now, was this before or after like Hillcrest?
this is after.
Oh.
Yeah, this is after. This is when Dad was a youth pastor. And
okay.
yeah, he was telling me about his brother who was his twin. He had owed him some money, which I guess it seemed like a lot of money to him, but to us it probably would have been a lot of money to us back then. Probably would have been like $10. I guess it was probably $10.
But you talking about $1? If you had $2 or $3, I mean, you're high rolling then, eh?
Oh yeah,
You'd be begging to get taken to the dollar store so you could get some Chinese junk.
yeah, we just kind of going off that. We used to like gamble back then. I know it ain't good, but we'd be like gambling like just. I'm telling you, if you were in the hole like $5, you were like depressed about it. Like I remember one of the twins, he was down in the hole like $13, and he was begging people to come play with him so he could try to get some of his money back.
Now, whenever you say gamble, how old were you?
13.
Okay, and what were you gambling? Like how? I mean, like what, tossing coins or something like that?
We'd play blackjack, or we'd play
There ain't no way you knew how to play blackjack.
was it black? I think it was blackjack. I guess I don't remember. It was one of them. And then there was some other game they liked to play. I don't remember the name of it. But yeah. I remember he was in a hole like $13 or $14, and I'm telling you, he was like depressed. He was like just begging us to go over and play with. And we were all up.
Give him
We were all up probably
like his Hot Wheel.
We were all up probably like $2 or $3 and thought we were like high rolling. And basically all his money had just been kind of distributed among us. But kind of spiteful stories, I guess, it was the brother that was begging us to gamble with him. He had owed his brother like $10, and they used to ride to school together. And they stopped at McDonald's one day, And the other twin, I guess he had this plan in his mind, and they ordered McDonald's, and he pulled out his biscuit, and then he pulled out the twins' biscuit that owed him money, and he took the biscuit right back and slammed it against the window, and it just exploded. He started yelling at him about owing money and all this kind of stuff. I remember he told me that story. I about died laughing. Oh.
I got another one of Carter. I told him I was going to tell it. I seen him get to grinning over it, but it's not spiteful or anything. But back whenever everybody lived at home, we had a smaller 2-story house, and I was always bad about not bringing my laundry down for Mama to do it, and just typical 15, 16, 17-year-old. Didn't think nothing of it, so I'd always run out of washcloths and towels because I'd have a hamper full of them, And well, I was gonna have to get me a shower that morning, and so I headed downstairs to the laundry room, and the door was shut, and I thought that was a little bit weird. And well, I opened up the door, and lo and behold, Carter, I guess he had went in there to get him some underwear. And he was bent over. I'm talking about stark naked as he came into this world, bent over inside the dryer, trying to fish him out a pair, of underwear. And oh dude, I wanted to gouge out my eyes so bad. I started hollering my eyes, and Cameron came running down the stairs thinking I done put bleach in them or something. Then whenever she figured out what happened, she died laughing. And I've laughed at that and laughed at that.
I remember Cameron had come over one time. She was telling us about that story. She was like, I heard Colby scream, my eyes. And I come running down. Yeah.
Well, it was a full moon whenever I walked in. And then he tried to blame it on me. Well, who just barges into the laundry room?
Yeah, who thinks to knock before they go in the laundry room? Me and Parker, we used to go out real late at night, like to noon, and then we come. It was just like a tradition for us. Then we go over to Nana's house and play Phase 10. And when we played Phase 10, we always made a point to just make her game as miserable as possible. Every time we get a skip, Nana, even me, Parker, and Nana playing. Every time we get a skip card, it would skip her every single time, or we cheat and just antagonize. But I remember one time another boy was with us, and we pulled up in there, and Bubba always has a tendency to just sit in the living room butt naked, and I'd always known this, but I'd never called him myself. I'd heard people had, so I was always very cautious when I come in there. Always when I come,
knock, stomp around,
yeah.
jump around, and, hey, Nana.
But I don't guess they were too wise to it before this point. After they come in there, he was sitting in there butt naked, and they were just in there laughing about it. Just kind of, that little dining area, and you can kind of peek through the little rails there into the living room. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And they were just in there peeking in there and laughing about
it. So he wasn't none the wiser. Everybody was looking, huh?
No, he had no idea they were sitting in there. And they were just there giggling about it, laughing about it.
So what did y'all end up doing then? I mean, did you finally alert him?
No, we come we come back out and went the other way around to the living room and hey Nan, kind of give him a fair warning, like that was the first time we were walking in there. But it kind of make me kind of make you think of Noah and that one son was looking at him naked and went and told his
Yeah.
brother. Lucky Ball didn't curse him or whatever.
Well, you should have run in there with a sheet and just scared the mess out of all of them and covered him up.
Yeah, walked backwards over to him and draped it over. Yeah, they were like, Carson, come here, look. I was like, I ain't looking at that. Like it was a three-headed monster in there to come look at it. I was like, no, I ain't looking at all that.
Poor old Harold. He had his innocence taken from him tonight.
Yeah, it's poor dignity.
That's gonna be one that you just have to lay out there on him one day.
Honestly, he probably wouldn't even care. Oh, really?
Or tell that story one day to embarrass Parker.
Parker probably just laugh about it. No, him.
That reminds me. There'd be there'd be times I'd be milling around at the house back whenever I lived with Tammy and Bill and I remember one time it was like Saturday. I think Kenzie was still working at the bank and Tammy had probably gone grocery shopping or something, and Bill he was getting ready for work, and he'd go in later on Saturday sometimes. So, well, I'd happen to come out of a room and be walking across, and I just happened to look over there in the bathroom, and there he is, butt naked, like facing the mirror. All I see is a big old hairy butt there, and I went to hollering, Bill, you need to close the door.
What did he say?
Nothing. We just laughed at it. That happened several times.
I remember, just being around your daddy. I'm sure he did the same thing. He just had to go pee somewhere. He'd just go off in the woods somewhere and just pee, or open up a car door and pee right there behind it. And
Yeah.
I was probably 3 years old. I remember we were at the mall, and I guess we were walking back to the truck, and I just right there in the middle of the parking lot. I didn't know no better. I just thought you just could do it just wherever. I just whipped it out and started peeing. I remember this lady and her daughter come walking by, and they were kind of they were kind of giggling about it. They had snatched me up. I'm sorry. And threw me back in the truck. It probably wasn't a whole lot for them to see back then, but
It's funny whenever you're little and you don't realize stuff like that. It's before you really know to cover up
Oh yeah.
and stuff. Uh, I got laughing with it with Kenzie. We were going to church the other Wednesday, and we were coming through Franklin, of all places. And she normally drives whenever we're together, just 'cause I told her I did all my driving whenever she was pregnant, and Blakely was little. I drove for it seemed like 2 years, so she could ride in the back with her. And so we came up there, that stop sign beside Olive Branch Church.
Yeah.
Right there on Flona Road.
Yeah.
And right there where all them logging trucks, some old logging equipment's all rusty right there on the corner.
Yeah.
I just happened to look over. I don't know why. I just looked up out of the window. I always like looking at them old trucks there. And there's two kids. They about 4 years old, and I'm talking about butt naked, playing in a mud puddle out there. I said, "Oh my gosh!" Of course, I turned my head and I pointed it out to Kenzie, and we laughed and laughed at that. Just, I mean, of all the times, just there was one of them that was playing in the mud puddle, and the other one was running to it, I guess to go jump in it or whatnot. And I was almost like I had secondhand embarrassment for them, like because I got to thinking they gonna look back one day they played naked right there beside the road. And you ever have that happen? You just get hit with like something you said like 5 years ago. It just keep
Oh
you up at
yeah,
night almost.
yeah, make your skin crawl, make you wish you. Just some
That's the
stupid
worst.
junk you said to just make you look like a moron. Uh huh.
I remember one of them times is it was back before I ever met Kenzie. I was on, I believe it was Tinder,
Yeah.
and it was Tinder, I believe, and you know I wasn't on there for like what I guess the typical thing Tinder was for,
Yeah.
and so I was actually looking for a girlfriend, and I had one girl message me on there, and I went to say something and I boogered it up. I'm talking about it. It sounded like I had a stroke whenever I went back to read it, and then I went to correct it to type something else to correct that, and I boogered that up too. And at that point, I just gave up and just shut the phone down. After that.
That's some days I don't miss is them old dating app days.
Yeah, I know. We lucky to be where we are. We're blessed.
Yeah. All them girls we struck out with or made us feel like morons. we it all paid off in the end, I guess.
Yeah,
But we already
we
had,
found the ones we were supposed to be with.
yeah, we already hit our 32-minute mark. I guess we go ahead and take a quick little break and
All right, everyone, we're going to take a break real quick. When we come back, we're going to talk about our sermons that we have. And we're back, everyone. And while we were on break, Carson was telling me another story I think that y'all would like to hear. But
yeah, it kind of goes off the, we were talking about naked folks and ourselves naked and whatnot, but remember we went on this cruise with a bunch of church folks that I kind of grew up going to church with, and you get in these vans and they'll take you different spots. Maybe they'll take you to like a zip lining or different places. And one of the stops was a nude beach, and obviously we're a bunch of church folks, and none of us are gonna go streaking nude. But for whatever reason, he took us out there anyways. And as we pulled up, I don't know why we were sitting there for a second, but another car pulled up beside us. And when that car pulled up beside us, everybody in that bus had eyes locked on him because they knew what was coming. And he climbed out. He went to the back of his car and opened up his trunk and grabbed something. And then, all sure enough, he dropped his drawer. And he pulled his shirt off and he started walking out through there naked. I remember Parker and his old buddy, they were roaring laughing. I mean, they were like dying laughing about it. They were just. I mean, everybody else was turning heads and just flabbergasted. I mean, I don't know what they were expecting at a nude beach, but sure enough, we caught a little glimpse of it.
Hey, you should have got out there and dropped your drawers and went on out there.
Yeah, I guess that's how I went in Rome.
But anyways, I think we're gonna move topics now. We're gonna move into our sermons that we've got planned, and I'll talk about the one that I did last Sunday.
All right.
And I can't remember what I thought I was gonna go on. I remember talking about it, but I ended up being taken a completely different route.
Yeah.
And I ended up preaching on childlike faith. And, I had been worried the night before trying to study and figure out what I was going to preach on. And then finally it hit me. I can fall back on that one that I had texted you about.
Yeah.
Uh, and so that's what I did. And I was trying to study it a little bit more that morning. And it hit me, it. I don't have it pulled up, but I'm going to paraphrase it. Uh, it says, unless you be converted and become as little children, you'll by no means enter the kingdom of heaven, I believe.
Yeah.
And well, it kind of spoke to me. What do little children do? I look at Blakely, and they grow. That was one that hit me. Just as we need to grow in the faith. And I wish I had my notebook with me. I had several more. And but they also trust the one that guides them, like how Blakely trusts me to tell her right from wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And she listens, and that's what we need to do. We need to act. And the biggest point that I had to make was they're helpless. If I were to take Blakely and drop her off in downtown Atlanta, I'm sorry, but Blakely ain't got a chance of making it.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to realize, that we don't have a chance without Christ. There's no way for us to bridge that gap of sin
Uh-huh.
and to cover all the sin that we made without Him to pay it for us and for Him to guide us and lead us. The devil's sitting there. It'd be just like me dropping Blakely off up there in Atlanta. All the evil in this world's ready to chew her up and spit her out.
Yeah.
And Satan's ready to do that with us.
Yeah. Yeah, she knows she's helpless too. Like you said, we have
Whenever
we have to have that childlike faith, like with God. Like she's dependent on you. She's dependent on you to protect her, and we have to depend on God to protect us and provide for us. And
yeah, that's the point that I made. I said, whenever something gets after Blakely, let's say a rabid dog or something, just for example, who's she gonna run to? She gonna run to me. She ain't gonna turn around and put up her dukes and try to fight it on her own. She's gonna go to somebody who is gonna kick butt and take names if they get messing with her, and that's what we need to do. Is run to Christ whenever something gets after us. The world gets on us and gets to weighing us down. We need to take it to Him, because He'll kick butt and take names.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You said that one. This is your newest sermon in front of a live audience. You said that one went a lot better, didn't it?
It did. It did. We were sitting there talking, and it was only about 4 people besides Kenzie and me there, and we were talking about it. And there's a little old lady that goes to church there, and I love her to death. She's sweet as can be. She didn't mean anything by it, but I laughed and I laughed. We were talking, and they said, you did a lot better. And I said, yeah, I'm a little bit prouder of myself this go around. I actually went for about 15 minutes instead of 8. And Miss Mary, bless her heart, she looked up at me and she said, yeah, you actually said more than 2 words this time. I laughed at that. The preacher, he got a kick out of it too whenever I told him.
Yeah.
She didn't mean nothing by it.
Oh, yeah, no. She definitely not. I mean, if we're more easily offended, probably could have taken it the wrong way, but she didn't.
Oh, I did. I got offended. I got up there. Well, Miss Mary, I'd like to see you come up here.
Yeah. I'm kind of scared about mine, because I thought mine was going to be in front of about 5 folks. Now they're telling me it's going to be in front of the church on Sunday night. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, ooh.
And
you in the hot seat now.
Yeah. In a way, I don't feel like I would struggle too bad in front of 5 folks. I feel like I'd be able to go with, I mean, I know I'd be nervous, but I feel like I'd be able to kind of get myself together quicker.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like I'm really getting thrown to the deep end. In your, I think Nick, you'll be. I think if somebody said you had to preach in front of the church, it'd be a lot easier for you now than it will be for me.
Ooh, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know if I guess if Michael asked, like he had nowhere else to turn to, I would put myself out there for it. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it ain't gonna be good, and it ain't gonna be long. It's probably gonna be.
Yeah, I'd got a good little sermon I'd come up with the day I did find out I was going to be in front of the church with it. But this one's actually pretty long. It's longer than the rest of mine. Usually, to me, a long one will be about 4 pages in my little notebook. This one got up to about 6. So
Really?
yeah, I'm deliberating on this one. I didn't really, I couldn't think of a name of it, but it's just about. It's at First Timothy 5:8. I'd pull it up here, but it'd probably take me a minute. But it's just about you know, if we're not looking out for our folks, we're denying the faith, and I'd probably have to tell you better if I just pull it up here. But
Yeah, it says he's worse than an infidel or something like
yeah,
that.
well, I'm just about
If
to
you
pull it. Yep, there it is. Oh,
not providing for your children, I think, women and children.
yeah, it's what he's going into about the home, and he says, but if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. And that's kind of what I was starting on, and a little bit of out of Ephesians 22 verses 22 through 33. But it's like I wrote down, as Christians, sometimes we look at all the problems in the world that we might overlook. In the world that we might overlook the problems going on in our own home. Like I said, we might tell everybody in the world about Jesus, tell everybody we meet about Jesus, the lady cutting her hair, and just the guy we're sitting next to on the park bench. When's the last time we, you know, prayed with our family?
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna kind of skim through it because I'll probably be an hour trying to read this whole thing out. But how often we study the Bible with our family, and I wrote a little joke.
Lead them like in Christ.
Yeah, I said, granted, I'm not either. I'm not talking to my kids about Jesus because mine don't even speak English yet. So, um, yeah, I also wrote, we might go to church and we're loving on our church family and we're loving on them and showing them all the love in the world. But then we get home and we're just being ugly to our wife and our kids and being buttholes to them.
Yeah.
And,
It,
yeah,
that's pretty good. It goes to talking about like it's almost taboo in a way if you have a bigger family, like to say, hey, can I pray with you for a second?
yeah,
Or I've just had you on my heart lately, and you know what I'm talking about? They almost like look at you like you're crazy.
yeah. Probably because they seem like the old us. They
Yeah.
and me and you in the past were definitely not the type to just want to go pray with each other. Even praying with each
Yeah.
other is still awkward. Just
Yeah.
me and you
It
just
is.
praying. It's still awkward.
Well, I think you like to try to tickle ears in your prayer.
I like to put on a little bit of showmanship and show how well I pray. That's kind of funny because I'm not I pray, but I'm not a good prayer like among people. And
Yeah.
I think I told the story. I either told you or told it on.
I think you told me. I think I know which one you're gonna
Yeah,
say.
they guy over the life group told me to ask me to pray, and I did. It was just kind of a little bit janky, but yeah, I was like, Lord, and our group leader is his name is Mark. I was like, Lord, I pray we can keep Mark straight, and got a couple giggles out of that, but it was still a little bit
So,
janky.
so you didn't take it seriously. Me and you were talking about that, and it's funny how we parallel so much. It's like we're in completely different realms, but you know, I I got asked to pray that same day, I believe, for the first time in front of the church,
In front of the whole
and
church?
for VBS,
Yeah.
it wasn't like a packed Sunday, but it was still enough to where I was shaking whenever I got done. I was so nervous,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to make sure not to say the same thing several different times. And whenever I got done, I got told by several people that was really good. Michael came up and asked me, he said, "Are you coming for my job?" Laughing, but
Yeah, I'm typically not
and
nervous talking in front of people. It's just I'm not. I guess praying it makes you a little bit vulnerable, and it just kind of caught me off guard. I'm not.
yeah,
Like I remember we were having Amanda's birthday, and it was her family and my family, and her mother asked me to pray. I was like, all right. I mean, it's
Lord bless it.
yeah, blessed food, and I said, all right. I mean, it's gonna be short. And I prayed. Yeah, I said I prayed the same prayer every time me and Amanda eat. I said, God, thank you for food. Food nourishes bodies. Amen. And I did that.
Yeah.
They all gave me weird looks. I said, I told you I was gonna be short.
Yeah, well, I got butchered one time. I remember me and you went on vacation, I think in the mountains. It was like really the only time we ever did anything like that. And I think Chris asked me to bless the food, and I went, God is great, God is good. Let's thank him for our food.
Uh-huh.
And he, oh, you really dug deep with that one, didn't you, Colby? That one right there, you had to think long and hard on it. I mean, I got butchered up on it. And, and, and I just that's what I pray here with Blakely and stuff whenever we bless the food a lot of the times because it kind of helps teach her how to pray and
Yeah.
not even that there's a right way to
Oh
pray,
no.
but if I really have to, I can switch it up. Like dear Lord, I thank you for this food right here, and I pray that you just nourish us with this, and I want to give you thanks for providing it for us and. Just be with us, dear Lord, and Jesus' name, pray, man. I can swap it up like that, but it's always funny.
There go the dogs fighting.
Okay, Michael Vick.
I got $20 on that match.
But it'd be funny to go out there and pray like that in front of them. If they asked you to bless the food, just God is great, like a little child. Maybe just keep a straight face. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I just it's I don't know if I should work. If saying I should work on it is the right thing to say, I don't know. Maybe just kind of
just
let myself not feel so vulnerable.
that's it. Like I got asked to pray again the night afterwards, and I was more shortened to the point because I worried myself on praying the same thing that I prayed the night before. I didn't want to repeat it,
Yeah.
and I'm always a big fan of, like, I pray that you just put your hands on them, dear Lord, and touch them and open their hearts and minds. And that's kind of what I prayed on the first night. And then on the second night, I was kind of caught off guard. And I didn't want to say the exact same thing word for word. So I was just very short and to the point.
Uh huh. Yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna do if I have to pray in front of church for a sermon because I'm al- I'm already getting a little nervous about it, and it's still a couple weeks away.
I'm gonna be there, and you better believe you me. If you get up there stumbling, I'm gonna laugh. Speaking of laugh, though, it's kind of funny. If you're not too like serious and uptight, but I think I told you. But I told Kenzie that she was nervous whenever I was praying, and I said, "Yeah, I started to, dear Lord, please just put your hands on everybody and just touch them." And but not in a weird way. And I said, would you have been embarrassed if I'd have said that? And she said, I would have crawled up under them pews all the way out the door.
Not in a weird way, but you know what I mean. You.
And see, to me, it's fun to laugh like that. I know there's some people that get uptight about it, but it's funny. I think that, we're made in the Lord's image, and we have humor. I'm sure I mean, you've talked about it before. I'm sure he gets tickled at stuff. I get tickled watching Blakely. I know he gets tickled watching us.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I think he laughs a lot. I really think he's got a good sense of humor. And that's kind of always
he does.
kind of always one of those things I kind of said I look forward to in heaven if they would like just cut up with him.
Yeah. Just like two old friends like me and you do.
Uh
How
huh.
we cut up and
Cause
joke.
you know he got to be funny.
Yeah, you do. For the way things work out and stuff, like how we put our foot in our mouths and all that, you know that he laughs at that.
Uh huh. It was like that story. I think I told it on probably the first podcast. It was one of them. I talked about how Amanda was her mom had told her, called her on the phone, told her she was gonna get a whooping when she got home for smarting off at her sister, and she climbed up on them bricks and was praying to God she wasn't getting no whooping. I, was, I laughed at, I know God was laughing about that. He couldn't have not been laughing about that.
Yeah, it, there really is. If you look for it, it's funny. Like just some of the people that we cross paths with. Like kind of how we talked about last time. That one dude that, I mean, just going off on a tangent about Nick Saban and all that, and
Hmm.
just how we kind of sit back afterwards and just kind of laugh at like the whole situation that led up to it, and or even like my first sermon up there, I just got up there and I just choked, and it it's just funny
Uh-huh.
looking back at it whenever you're on this side of it.
Yeah, and he knows the big picture too. You know, he
Yeah,
knows where
he
it's all going
does.
to lead, and he knows you'll be able to look back at it. Even looking, you can look back at it now and kind of get a giggle out of it.
There's been several times I have already. It I get tickled sometimes thinking about that guy that I think he was a little off, and you gave him your phone number, and we started getting just strange texts,
Yeah, well, that's some
and
weird situations too.
yeah, just like I always got tickled like whenever I forget who it was. They said that I think it was Paul. I couldn't tell you where it was out of, but he went out there and was preaching. I think it was Paul, and he was preaching, and he made all of them mad out there, and they went to stone him, and all the other disciples they thought he was dead. They were sitting there mourning and crying and stuff, and so he just woke up, or they let him down in that little basket off the wall up there.
and me, you always get a kick out of the story. I don't know if we're supposed to, but that story about them and folks trying to get that demon out of that person, and that demon end up whooping
Yeah,
on
the
them.
sons of Sceva.
They end up running out there naked.
That even ties back into earlier. Could you imagine the fear and panic that ran through them whenever that demon said, "What did he say? Jesus,
Jesus,
I recognize.
yeah,
Paul, I know, and or no, it was Jesus, I know. Paul, I recognize. But who are you?" And
mm-hmm.
it was something like that. I may have mixed them up, but could you imagine like just the fear and shock on their faces. And it says he beat them up and tore the clothes off so much that they all ran out of there naked, like you said. Like it would be so funny just to have been able to sit there and just watch it happen.
Yeah, but I don't know if how the chosen, if it goes on after Jesus is resurrected and goes back to heaven. I don't know if it's going to do a little series on Acts, but I'd like to see them do a little depiction on that. Maybe they'll show kind of the humor in it.
Yeah. There's all sorts of things in the Bible that make me get tickled
Uh-huh.
looking at them.
Yeah, like I think it was Elijah. He was with all those pagans. They were beating drums or whatever, trying to get their gods to do something. He was like, "Pray louder. Maybe they're asleep."
Toning them.
uh,
It it's just funny, and you know that whoever made us, God. That wasn't what I was saying. I was saying, like God that made us. He has a sense of humor.
oh yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, he ain't as uptight as people think. I don't believe.
No, he's uh, he's 100% just and
Huh, oh,
everything like
yeah,
that. But
100% good.
yes, but he's very forgiving.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. Yeah, he's been on earth and
And
he's
that,
walked among us, and there ain't no doubt with Jesus walking on this earth, he didn't get a bunch of laughs here and there.
yeah, and that kind of goes back into what me and you originally were planning on talking about with the Bible time was the bringing ourselves back to Christ afterwards. If we get out of the wheel or feel as if we've done too much, like I can't bring myself back.
Yeah.
He wouldn't want me. Uh, we need to forgive that. We need to remember that we can't. What is it? We can't outrun His grace,
Yeah.
forgiveness for us. Whenever we turn and repent and say, you know what, I'm going home. I'm going to His feet, and to the cross is where I'm headed. I'm done with this old worldly sin right here. I don't want it no more, and I bring it back and put it at His feet right there. It's over with. It's gone,
Uh-huh.
and we need to remember that.
Oh yeah, because just this week it's just been kind of a stressful week, and I,
Yeah,
earlier today I just feel kind of ashamed, and this week I just haven't felt like a Christian. You know, sometimes when you get like that, like you just don't feel like you're filled with the Holy Spirit, and I don't know, just
you almost feel as if He wouldn't want you to come
yeah,
back.
uh-huh. Yeah, like I just it's been a stressful week, and temper's got the best of me a couple times this week, and I don't know, it's just been. I get to the end of it, and I'm like, I, I almost feel ashamed to like pray, you know. I almost feel like I just kind of
Yeah, uh huh.
I'm back to the old Carson now. I'm
Yeah,
back to
He
him.
ain't gonna listen.
Uh huh.
I've done blown it.
Yeah, and I kind of had a. I guess he was speaking to me today, and I had written something down. I said, if we've been truly redeemed, we can't become that dead man once more. That man is dead. The closest thing we can do is
Yeah,
lay atop the ground that he's buried in, and the whole time Jesus is standing above us, looking at us not with shame, but with love and compassion, with his hand outstretched, ready to pick us back up and dust us off to continue on.
that's very good.
Yeah,
That's really good.
yeah. Like I said, I just felt like I'd gone back to that old man, and I felt like there was just no use in going back. It's just the devil filling my head with lies. That
It is.
there was just no use for me going like trying to pray and go back to him because they were just I'm back to who I was, and there's no more forgiving for me. But like I said, that old man that I was, I can't go back to being him. He's dead and buried. He's gone for good.
Mm-hmm.
I can lay atop his grave, and that's as close as I can get to being him. He's a different person now. He just like
Yeah.
my great granddaddy. He's dead, and I can't be him. You know, it
Yeah.
kind of the same way in that. I can't be that old man no more. You know, Jesus is, he's all, like you said, you can't outrun his forgiveness and you can't outrun his grace. He's always there waiting on you to come back home. And I read the prodigal son story today, and it just, I don't know, I feel like
Spoke
that's
to you.
when it really spoke to me today. You
Yeah.
know,
That's something I think both me and you both needed to hear. In a way, it's funny how I've said it. We parallel and stuff. It seems like you stub your toe, and then I stub my toe. I call you up. Hey, you stub your toe? Yeah, I just did. Matter of fact, you know what I'm
mm-hmm.
talking about. And it, I feel like we both needed to hear that. He was speaking to both of us
Uh-huh.
through you just
Oh,
then.
yeah. Yeah, like, I was reading that, and, you know, prodigal son, I think he had come from, like, a rich family, and, like, you know, he was eating out of the pig slop, and you know he had to be stinking, and I mean, you know he had to feel ashamed to come back to his dad, just covered in pig slop, probably covered in pig crap, and come to him in that state. You know, and he said he felt ashamed, and I mean he was going to go to him just as a servant, and I mean that's kind of like us, or just anybody, you know, like uh, like he don't care if you're covered in slop. He don't care if you got a dead gum heroin needle sticking out your arm, or if you're laying in the bed with somebody that ain't your wife. You know, he don't care where you are. He just wants you. He said to come as you are. He wants you, and he'll bring you out of that sin.
Right. You Once you repent and know that, as we talked about, that we're helpless and we see that we can't do anything in this world without Him, and we ask Him, just like we always you do, you repent and ask Him to forgive you of your sins, and I can't do it without you, Lord,
Mm-hmm.
and you may not see just a big uh, change overnight or anything, but to me, it's the small things, and they add up over time as He's cleaning you and bringing you out of it.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. Yes. It's definitely been a process for me, and in some ways I hadn't seen it
That's a good way to put it. Process.
until you know, it's just a little thing that changes here and there and here and there and here and there, and you don't always see it right then and there. But you know, as time goes on,
Looking back, it's like, wow, how far has He brought
uh
me
huh,
from where I was?
yeah, yeah. It's
Uh,
like if you had this deep hole that went on forever, and you had just a little thimble, and you just went to the ocean, got that little thimble, and just dropped it in that hole.
Yeah,
I mean, as you're doing it, you ain't never gonna see a change until you know maybe somebody shows you a picture of the change after 100,000 years of you doing that for so long. You know what I'm talking
yeah. And you look over there, and it's nearly about full,
about? Uh huh.
and you're just like, how in the world did I come from there to here? And there's one answer to that: it's
Oh
Christ.
yeah. Ain't no doubt about that.
You still got a lot more to change, before you as holy as me.
Yeah, he ain't done with you yet, for sure.
He needs to get the washboard and Ajax out for you, maybe with some bleach.
Yeah, it'll be a while before you go to where I'm
But everyone, I hope that you've enjoyed this. As you can tell, me and Carson are about ready to get fall asleep where we are. I appreciate you for listening. Please like and share.
at. Tell all your friends about us and leave a comment. Tell us how your 4th of July went. Maybe some of your naked stories. We'd like to hear the stories, but we don't want to see the pictures.
Yeah, we keep this PG. But good night, everyone.
Good night.